Hi and welcome to this new video. Today we're gonna do something fun. We're gonna go on Reddit and look for some language learning advice. I'm not really a Reddit user, but every once in a while my boyfriend will bring up some posts that he found on Reddit and we kind of discuss them because there is a lot of valuable advice out there on Reddit. There also is a lot of garbage though. So today I just want to go over some posts and kind of share my own thoughts about the questions or advice that we can find on Reddit. Let's get right into it. You can't only have fun in language learning, otherwise the progress is going to be really slow. And there's technically no right and wrong answer, but there's definitely better and worse answers. Obviously, more hours equal more progress, but it's not linear. Alright, let's try to see if we can find something interesting looking. Obviously, I'm not going to talk about things that I don't know about, so I won't be talking about languages that I don't know, but wanting to learn a language you don't like. Has anyone actually wanted to and tried to learn a language, but realized you just didn't like it? I'm trying at the moment, and every time I try to study, it's either boring and/or tedious. I have a strong interest in being able to use the language to access media and culture and communicate with people. But the passion and love I've had with other languages I've learned just isn't there. Anyone have similar experience? Did you quit? Did you regret it? If you persevered, what happened? So this person is basically saying that they're learning a language that they just don't like learning. Now, except for when you're taking classes and you kind of have to learn a language or you have to take those classes, I don't know why anyone would go through all that hassle and that long time of trying to learn a language that they don't care about or they don't like. I feel like this is a very common problem though with a lot of people, that they want to kind of be able to speak the language, talk to people, read books and access the media that language offers, but they don't really want to put in the hours and the work that it just takes to learn a language. And that is totally understandable. Learning a language is a really long process. It's not like any other skill where you practice for 3 hours a day and in half a year you will have made significant progress. Sure, that might be the case for some people, but the majority of people will take a really long time, and that means two or more years to actually be useful in a language. And now imagine all the things you could do in 2 years worth of time. To use that time and force yourself through language that you just don't like is kind of torture, and if you don't have to do it, you just shouldn't. If the media of that language is compelling enough, you should just try to learn with that media instead of trying to do other methods that are not working. So the main problem with a lot of these kind of questions is where either obviously you have to take classes and you don't have a choice. That is the case for a lot of second language English speakers that obviously have to take English classes and we can't really do anything about it whether we want to or not. Just that with English we immediately gain access to essentially the whole world. Whereas with other languages, you're more limited in what you can access afterwards. Actually, let's take a look at some of the comments and see what people say. This first comment right here actually just already is everything that needs to be said. If you don't enjoy the process, I would find a language you do enjoy. Unless obviously you're taking classes. Enjoyment is such a crucial aspect to me to keep going to achieve high proficiency. Obviously, this doesn't mean that as soon as you feel a little bit bored or a tiny struggle coming up, you should quit that language. Learning a language includes struggles. It really is a balancing act. You can't only have fun in language learning, otherwise the progress is going to be really slow. Because sometimes you just have to sit through random grammar lessons that you don't really care about, that you might think are not that interesting, or you have to drill pronunciation to make sure that you know how the words are pronounced. But obviously, language learning should be an enjoyable activity. So you really have to figure out how much struggle you're willing to go through and how much enjoyment you're willing to give up. Because that is going to be different for everyone. And there's technically no right and wrong answer, but there's definitely better and worse answers. This second comment is actually really funny. They say, of course, or do you think vast majority of this planet genuinely likes English? The problem with English is that it gives you access to so much media and essentially communication with so many people from all around the world. because English just has established itself as the world language. Even though obviously there are still a lot of places where the people don't speak English, and I'm not saying you just shouldn't learn any other languages. Still, unlike with other languages, when learning English, you just gain access to so much more things. And so it is really easy to pick up English as a first language, even if we don't really like it. The internet just made this language so much more accessible and so much more useful than ever before. And whether you like it or not, if you want to communicate internationally, you're just gonna have to learn English sooner or later. Moving on. Is it possible to learn somewhat basic conversation in 24 hours? If so, how? No. The answer is no. In no world can you learn basic conversation in 24 hours. What you would be doing at that point is just learning random phrases by heart and hoping that the other person will understand them and hoping that they will reply something that you also learned by heart. If you were in a life or death situation where for whatever reason you had to learn to communicate with someone within 24 hours, what I would probably do is write down as many useful phrases that you can then just fill with random words and hope to be understood. Things such as yes, no, I don't think so, I understand, I don't understand, what do you mean? Stuff like that just kind of can keep you going in a conversation. But that again would require you to understand what the other person is saying. And assuming you don't have any language knowledge background and know nothing of the language, that is an impossible task within 24 hours. I don't know why that would be relevant to anyone, because if you have a trip upcoming in like 24 hours, then at that point you might as well just hope that you have an internet connection and use Google Translate, because that's gonna get you further than trying to learn to hold a conversation in 24 hours. Intermediate and advanced language learners, do you use flashcards? Just curious if you all use flashcard SRS programs like Anki at the intermediate and advanced stages. If you say yes or no, can you please explain your reasoning? Thanks. This is actually such a good question. I really like this one. SRS can be a really powerful tool in addition with other things, but I don't think anyone should be learning a language with just an SRS. I think that for language learners, an SRS is most valuable at the very beginning stages of their learning and towards the end stages of their learning. So that means when you're just starting out, you don't really have anything to build any knowledge on. So what is the best way to go about it is to learn the most common 100, 500, 1,000, 2,000 words. You can do this very easily by just downloading an Anki deck and going through those words. There's a lot of Anki decks for a lot of different languages. As soon as you're done with that, you should probably switch to other media, such as reading, since the word density is a lot higher in that media. You will also get a lot more context for every word and learn the grammar. All throughout the intermediate stages of your learning journey, the majority of your word acquisition should probably happen through reading, as that is just the most efficient way of using your time. I'm not saying that as an intermediate learner you should not ever use an SRS, but I'm just saying it shouldn't be as focused as when you're a beginner. Because when you're an intermediate learner, you have enough knowledge to kind of bind other knowledge to your previous knowledge. So you can learn words through other words. You can learn words through reading texts and from context, because now you have a base that you can build upon. As you get into the advanced stages though, the words that you come across are gonna be rarer and rarer. You might not get enough repetition just from reading. A good practice to do then is to learn words that you saw in your reading or in movies or wherever else you saw these words, and put them again into an SRS system, so that SRS system can help you keep the words in your memory while you don't necessarily see them in your immersion. As with everything, SRS can be really powerful in moderation. There's really no point trying to do 5 hours of Anki every single day when you could be doing other things. Not in the beginning stages, not in the intermediate stages, and not at an advanced stage, unless maybe when you're cramming for an exam. Again, this first comment is very true. Yes, after a certain point, fluency is just a function of vocabulary, and Anki is the easiest way to build it. That is so true. To get fluent, you need a lot of words. A lot of words. There is a somewhat finite amount of grammar that you can learn, but there is essentially an infinite amount of words that you can learn. And having a lot of grammar but no words to fill it with is way worse than the other way around, where you have a lot of words but only basic grammar. Someone with a basic grammar understanding but a lot of words will get way further than someone with really advanced grammar understanding but only a few words. So that's why you use Anki or Quizlet or Memrise to learn more words. This person is basically saying what I just explained. Yes, beyond a certain point, the vocabulary you add is no longer frequent enough to acquire it by reading alone. Never stop reading and listening, nor writing and speaking, but let yourself be helped by spaced repetition that reduces the number of times you need to engage with a certain word or expression to remember it. Luckily, these tasks are not mutually exclusive. It doesn't mean just because you do SRS you can't read, or because you read you can't do SRS. Ideally, use both at the same time for the best results. Why is it so hard for people to comprehend that you need to understand the language before speaking? This looks like a spicy one. Let's have a look. If you cannot understand spoken nor written language of a certain level, you cannot speak to that level. Is it that hard to understand? Why are people obsessed with speaking at the early stages? Let's have a look at the comments. I'm looking forward to this one. Successful language learning equals positive feedback loops, maintaining exposure to the language. Conversation is such a loop. Language learning, more than one way to skin a cat. That is very true. There is this cheesy saying that I've heard a lot lately where basically YouTubers and other polyglots will be like, there is no best method. The best method is the one that you stick to. And to an extent that is true, because even the best method, as I just talked about Anki is really powerful. But if you just cannot do Anki, and you would rather be reading something, or you would rather do some exercises in a grammar book, then that is going to be a way better method for you personally than forcing yourself through Anki and then quitting after like 5 days. Now, obviously some methods are better than others, objectively speaking, but it's no real use if you don't make use of it. And as this other person is pointing out, if you're from the other side, then you've probably already been getting other positive feedback loops that you enjoy more, being able to understand something that you read, watch, or hear. Here's this really long, in-depth comment, and it's actually quite interesting. This person basically said that the reason why there's a lot of people that like to start speaking pretty early on is because we kind of measure success by speaking. If you tell someone I'm learning X language, then they'll be like, oh, say something, and then they'll be literally fine with anything. The problem is that none of the other 3 skills are requested ever when telling someone that you're learning a language. And so basically the only measurement of your success as a language learner is whether you can speak or not. And then I also like this part of the comment where they're like, also, I do think people should start speaking as soon as possible, but it's important to point out that there are several ways to go about it. When I'm a beginner, my speaking practice is reading things out loud, saying smaller sentences, and trying to come up with some new small phrases here and there. Depending from which community you come from, you might be either on the I want to speak as soon as possible camp, or you might be on the complete opposite, where you're basically scared of talking to people in your target language. Ideally, when it comes to speaking, you kind of want to limit yourself a little bit more in the beginning than at later stages, exactly because of the reasons that this person mentioned. In the beginning, you're just not really able to say much. Your vocabulary is very limited and you don't know a lot of grammar. Does that mean you should never ever speak in the beginning? No, of course not. When you're starting out, you kind of have to figure out how the sounds work, how your mouth has to move, and that too is a process that takes time. Speaking, as anything, is a skill. If you don't speak a lot, you're never going to be good at speaking. Activities that are really good for beginners are, as this person said, reading things out loud, making really small sentences that maybe you read in a textbook, and changing them up a little, changing the verb or changing the noun. And you ease into speaking. Speaking from the very beginning is actually not something that's going to damage you for the rest of your life and the rest of your speaking. I know that that is the belief that is currently held in some of the communities, but that is just not true. If you are aware of what's going on in the language and you make a conscious effort to improve your pronunciation, to not purposefully make mistakes, then you should be totally good to go. So basically, you can never get good at speaking without actually speaking. How much time can I spend learning a day? Realistically, how much time can you put into a language a day until you start getting diminishing returns? For example, if I did Anki for 4 hours a day, would this be any better than 3 hours? Okay, let's break this down a little bit. I don't think Anki is the best example here because Anki can get really draining even after just 30 minutes a day. Because there are a lot of people in the immersion space that advocate for a lot of immersion each day as much as humanly possible. And there are people that immerse for 8 or more hours every day. But is that actually the best thing to do for you? And is that any better than doing 7 or 6 or 3 hours a day? Obviously, more hours equal more progress. But it's not linear. So if learning for 1 hour each day means progress at a 1-time speed, then learning 2 hours a day doesn't equal to progress at 2-time speed, and learning 8 hours a day doesn't equal progress times 8-time speed. Obviously, I don't have any exact data at what point these diminishing returns start, but I think it is way sooner than people think, because even at the 2-hour mark, you're not learning twice as fast as someone only learning 1 hour a day. But obviously, you're still better off. You're still gonna learn faster if you learn 2 hours a day rather than 1 hour a day. Obviously, it's not as simple as that because there are a lot of factors that go into how fast someone learns a language, but generally speaking, you don't learn twice as fast just because you study twice as much or twice as hard. Okay, and that's all the Reddit posts I got for today. Hit the like button if you would like me to go over more Reddit posts, and let me know some of your opinions down in the comments about some of the things that we discussed today. I'd be really curious to hear your opinions. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.